In this video, we're going to be talking about the upgrade migration. So taking content that we made in a previous version of BobCAM and bringing it to the newest version of BobCAM. And these steps are going to be the same for just about every version of BobCAM. It just depends on which one you're on. So to get started, all I have open right now is my File Explorer, and I'm right on this PC so that I can see my C drive because that's where I have all my BobCAM information stored. So I'm going to double click on the C drive. And then inside of here, we have a folder named BobCAD-CAM data. I'm then going to open that one up. And in here, you'll see every version of BobCAM or BobCAD-CAM, whatever you have, inside this folder. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some content that I created in V8, and I'm going to move it to V9. So when I open up BobCAM V8, I can see all the files that I have in here. These are all the contents of basically everything that I could add to the software. So this is where we're going to find our post processors. It's where we're going to find features that we've saved, our machines, and then any NC code that we have. Now what I want to do is I want to take the content from this and move it to the new folder. So the way we do that is first start off with what do you want to move? Now if you've gone through and saved features, like in here we have a generic cutoff transfer and a generic part transfer, these two features I can take and copy, so I'll just select them and say copy, and then I can go over to my BobCAD-CAM data page and then scroll down to my BobCAM V9, and then in here I could go to features. Now I already have them in here because these are the ones that always come with the system, but from here I just right click and I'd paste them and they would be in there. Now just note that with features, sometimes it doesn't work because if the feature you're loading in from an older version to the newer version, if in the newer version we've made changes to that feature, then it might not work. But in that case, recreate it one time and then resave it again. Otherwise, if no changes have been made, you should be able to use these features in your newer version. Now, if I go back to the BobCAD-CAM data, the next thing we're going to take a look at moving would be our machine. Now, if you've gotten a post processor created through our posting department, there's a very good chance that you have a custom machine built for it. So what I would start with is open up the mock sim folder, and then you could scroll through here and see if you could find any machines that aren't standard. So in my case, I'm going to grab this Herco VMX42 because I do not have this one inside my V9 folder, and it might be a machine that I want to use. So I can copy this entire machine folder, bring it back to BobCAD-CAM data, V9, mock sim, and we'll see there is no Herco VMX42 lane here. And so all I do is right click and say paste. And that's going to add that machine to my V9 folder. So I can now access it inside of SOLIDWORKS. The last couple things you might change if we go back to V8 are going to be post processors. We always want to move post processors from the previous version. So I'm going to open up my post folder. Inside of post, we choose mill, lathe, or mill turn. I'll open up mill. And then in here, I could find a post that's going to work. So I could grab this Herco VMX30, and I'm just going to copy that back to my BobCAD-CAM data folder, down to V9, and then right here I could go to posts, mill, and then I could right click and paste that post processor. So now I have that post processor in both my V8 and my V9. Now be aware, sometimes the posting engine changes, so you might need to get your post updated. If you're worried that that's a thing, just give a call to tech support, ask them if it needs to be updated, and they might send you through the posting department to get a quick update to the post. The last bits of things that you could bring with you, if we go to V8 here, we have this technology folder. Now inside of technology, we have a few files that you can copy over to the other system. One of them would be your material database, and the other one is your toolfile.mtools and your tool file, this XML document. Now what these do is the material database contains all the materials that you have inside the system. So this is if you've added new materials, you'll want to bring this over so you don't have to add them again. We also have the toolfile.mtools and the tool file, which are essentially the same folders. But when we move these ones, we're moving any new tools and all the tools really, but all the new tools will be added to our new library. So we can just move them over, add in the tools, and now we have our tools in both V8 and V9, and we didn't have to recreate any of them. So again, you're just going to copy these, go back to your BobCAD-CAM data, go down to V9, and then paste all of the files in the same technology folder in V9. Other than that, there is a few more things you could bring, like adapters. You're going to have some solid models in here. If you've created any new adapters, this is especially important for mill-turn users. If you've created any adapters, you're going to want to copy all these adapters over to your new system as well. So you can move those over. We have inch, metric, whatever you got to move over. Other than that, knowledge base, not something you really need to move. Same with the templates, unless you've gone in and saved a bunch of new templates for your CAM jobs. You can move those over. Otherwise, the main things are always going to be the post processor and the machine. If you have a machine, some posts won't have a machine. You're just going to use the generic 3-axis mill, and that's fine. So you're going to move your post, you're going to move your machine, you're going to move any feature files that you might have created. And then you're also going to move your materials and your tool files if you've added anything. If you haven't added anything to those files in the previous versions, then don't worry about transferring them into the new version. It's all going to have the same default tools. And that concludes the video on upgrade migration for BobCAM for SOLIDWORKS.